Hello everyone! Welcome to our YouTube channel called ParentTube. Here you'll find lots of videos related to deaf and hard of hearing situations. Today, we're going to be talking about a parent's guide to education options for deaf and hard of hearing students and children. Some of the options that you might see are early intervention schools, residential schools, day schools, self-contained classrooms, and mainstream schools. So I'm going to go into depth about each of these options. Early intervention looks something like this. So these services are for children from 0 to 3. Interventions can occur in the household or at a facility. Services are individualized based on the need of the child and the family. So some of these things might look like family training, speech and language pathology, or sign language services, assistive technology devices, so this can include hearing aids, or cochlear implants, working on how to use these devices, varying medical services as well, and many other things that can be included in there. So a second option would be residential schools. Students stay on campus during the weeks and come home on the weekends. Generally, these students are surrounded with other students who are also deaf and hard of hearing. Students will attend regular classes that you'll see in any other school, and classes may be taught in sign language, spoken language, or a combination between them. The third option is day schools. Generally takes place in separate buildings from a public school, used at times to prepare a child to go into mainstream school setting. Hearing students are brought in as a model for these deaf and hard of hearing students. Classes also will be in a variety of communication methods. Self-contained classrooms are another option. So your child would receive specialized instruction inside of these classrooms. These will also include opportunities to enter the mainstream setting when beneficial to the child. There are a variety of communication methods inside of these classrooms as well, such as the sign language, the spoken language, or a combination in between. Our other option is mainstream schools. So your child would spend most of their time in the general education classroom. These students will receive access to a teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing. This is where they will go for special services if they need help in different areas. Both of these teachers, the teacher of the deaf and the general education teacher, will work together to create an education plan for the student. There can be a variety of communication methods inside of the classroom. The student can have access to an interpreter if that is needed for their mode of communication as well. The other services that could be offered are note takers and different things like that. So now that we've talked about all of the options that we consider where we want to place our children going into schools, now we have to think about what to consider and why one of these would be a better option for your child. So I'm going to go through a few things that we should consider when we're thinking about this. So some things to consider are a child's mode of communication. Consider what language and ability that the child communicates in. So are they skilled in their language? Are they needing some extra help? Are they signing, or are they speaking, or somewhere in between using a different type of language communication? So another thing to consider how the auditory accessibility would affect their education. So this means how much they can hear. So if they're using a spoken language, we want to know how much they are getting from other people speaking, as well as how much they're able to output, because what you receive is what you output. Another consideration would be if their supportive technology will allow them to access the classroom. So this goes hand in hand for their auditory accessibility and how much their assistive technology will allow them to hear. Another thing to consider is the least restrictive environment. This can change from child to child, so depending on your child, it might look different. We should also consider whether they are able to interact with their peers and have the least amount of obstacles while doing this. So least amount of obstacles are relating to their cognitive, social, and emotional development. We want to see that they're able to develop properly in their setting. Another thing to consider is academic readiness. So consider if your child is academically ready to enter the school and See if they are able to do the work where they are placed. Do they have the background knowledge that they will need for this classroom? Consider if the language ability will allow them to learn. Many need extra supports when entering the classroom and the school setting, and this is okay. This is something that they can have. So after you've decided what kind of school you want your child going to, we have to think about what comes next. Next would be the IEP meeting. IEP stands for Individualized Education Plan. This will be a meeting held with the IEP team and you to talk about your child and their education options and needs. Here you will set goals and talk about problems that are being seen. So let's be prepared for this. As a person going into your first IEP meeting, we want to talk to others that may have gone through this process before and had experiences. We want to learn from these experiences so that we're prepared when we go through it. So another tip for this would be prepare questions and concerns that you have about your child's education. All these questions are very valid, and to have a list prepared will help you remember as you may be nervous during this experience. Another tip would be to ask for a copy of the IEP to go over prior to the meeting. All these tips will help you feel prepared and less overwhelmed during the meeting. Lastly, remember, you all want what is best for your child, and you are working together to get the best education that they can receive. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this very insightful, and please go check out our other videos that we've all created. Thanks, bye!